Hello, this one's a bit different. This is a holiday recipe that I developed. We went to the market in France and I like to be inspired by what I see at the market. So and then I make a recipe up from that. The inspiration for this one came from this stall which was selling rabbit. And I had some jointed rabbit which had the bones removed as well, which is fantastic, makes it really nice and easy to cook with. So the other things I had in there were shallots, some bacon, garlic, Dijon mustard and herbs, and I put some butter in the pan which I was going to brown the rabbit with. So rabbit's not a very fatty meat, so a bit of butter goes a long way. It's also a very sustainable meat. I wouldn't get farmed rabbit because that kind of defeats the object, but wild rabbit, yeah, it's pretty good stuff. They're regarded as pests, so we're helping the environment that way. They're not having to be farmed. All good. So 2 shallots there. Now I would normally put, I'm a bit of an onion freak, and I would normally put lots of those kind of things in, but actually I only had 2, and it turned out that this was fine and tasted just right. Then a couple of cloves of garlic, and crush them with a knife. Take the peel off, chop it up. I wish I could really chop that fast. Looks impressive. So butter's melted and the rabbit goes in 2 at a time. So what we want is just nicely browned. Now once I put it in the pan, I decided that this was the time to put the mustard on. And with hindsight, I would have coated it in mustard first before it went in the pan. And that's what I've done since. I've also made it with chicken. So it's really nice with chicken as well. So if you can't get rabbit or you don't fancy it, have a go with chicken. So there's the mustard going on, and then I spread that out. And then as I turned it over, I put a little bit more on. And I'll pop the other 2 in there. These ones are just about ready. So they're going in a baking dish. And so my idea is to make a nice sauce and then put that over the top and then finish it off in the oven. So there goes some more mustard. I think probably it was about a teaspoon and a bit per joint. Might have been a little bit more, maybe a teaspoon and a half. You could always use whole grain mustard as well, that would be nice. But Dijon and rabbit, I don't know, I've got a bit of an association there, and I think they go very well together. This is the bacon. This is French bacon. It was quite thick, and it was nice. It was unsmoked, and I think there were 3 slices in the pack, and we used 1.5 for this dish. So I put the bacon in. There was a bit of space in the pan, so I thought I'd get that started. Chopped it all up nice and small. So this was very much made up as I went along. It was I wonder what'll work here, and then deciding what to put in. So then go the shallots and the garlic. And the pan's getting a bit dry, so I just put a glug of olive oil in there. Just cook that until the onions and until the shallots got a bit softer. And then we got some mushrooms from the market. Actually, they look like they came from the supermarket. I think they might be oyster mushrooms, not absolutely sure. But again, since then I've made it with ordinary mushrooms, and I've also made it with a kind of forest mushroom mix, woodland mushroom mix from the supermarket. So again, any would be fine, and you can use onions instead of shallots, or you could use leeks. And as I say, you can use chicken instead of rabbit. So the lid goes on so it kind of steams and cooks. In the meantime, I've parboiled some potatoes and leave the skins on, and I'm just draining them, and then I'm going to roast them. And at this point I decided, oh, there's half a piece of bacon left. Well, there was another piece, but that was used in another recipe. So half a piece of bacon, chopped that up small and scattered that over the potatoes. Bit of salt and pepper, not too much salt because of the bacon, and some olive oil, and then mixed it all up in the oven. So oven temperature is 180. I find that most things cook pretty well at 180. I just decided to put it on the top shelf there because I wanted them crispy, and I don't want the rabbit crispy. So we're just finishing off the sauce here. In there we've got the mushrooms, shallots, garlic, some herbs going in there. They were just the mixed herbs. That's all that the house had. And then I got some fresh parsley, so that went in as well. And then a stock cube. This was a chicken stock cube. You could use a vegetable one. And then we had a part bottle of rosé left, so that went in. I think that was about a glassful, like a generous glassful. And you could also use white wine, of course. And then this stuff going in here is called creme blanc, which I don't think we can get in England at all, but I've made it with creme fraiche, and that's absolutely fine. So you can use creme fraiche. You could use cream, and you could probably use Greek yogurt, but I think you want a slight tang, so yogurt or creme fraiche is probably the best option there. Or if you were going to use cream, you could maybe put a little bit of lemon juice in, play around with it, see what happens. So just heated that up, and then I'll pour it all over the rabbit. That looks pretty good. And cover it with foil. Obviously, if you have like a casserole dish with a lid, you can put it in. I think a kind of shallow, flat dish is better than a deep casserole dish, so it depends what you've got. Then the vegetables that went with it were carrots, which I kind of steam fried in the same pan, obviously washed up, that I'd done the rabbit in. So I like to cut carrots into batons instead of round slices. I think it looks more attractive. That's just a personal thing. And also they'll cook more evenly. If you had those in rounds, then they might not cook so quickly. Then courgette, done the same way, cut into batons. So I just give the carrots a few minutes on their own first, just till they start to soften up. And then the courgettes go in, and then last of all the beans. So you can do mixtures of vegetables like this. Just think about how long they're going to take to cook. And obviously root vegetables are harder and they'll take longer. And then the more watery the vegetables, the quicker they'll cook. So there we go. And then the courgettes will go in there. Okay, lid back on, give it a couple of minutes, and then I added the beans. So here's the finished meal, and I have to say it was delicious. I hope you give it a try.